So, I'm very happy to be back in Kent and to see all of you once more. And usually, wherever I go, I don't select my own topic of the talk. I always ask them to do the thinking. I'm too lazy to think. And then whatever they suggest, I just try to work around it. This time, I selected my own subject. My subject is how do I practice Dharma and why? I'm not talking about how one should. I'm not talking about how one should practice Dharma. I'm trying to talk about how I am trying to practice Dharma in my very limited way. I always told you that I'm a lazy lama, you can call it, because I'm wearing this robe. I'm lazy lama. And many of you say, oh, you are not lazy, you are traveling so much. That's true, I'm traveling a lot, but that does not necessarily means I am diligent. Traveling, having nice time, is not necessarily needs diligence, Especially in my case, wherever I go, you pay my ticket. And then somebody comes to pick me up at the airport. And then you feed me the best food. Even cakes, ice creams, chocolates. And you don't need any diligence for that. But as a Buddhist, as a lama, as a kind of Buddhist monk, I should be practicing Dharma. And whether I am diligent or lazy, I judge from that point of view, how much I am really practicing Dharma and doing something really beneficial and useful for myself and for people. Because ideally, one should do something that would do quite a lot of benefit or help or, make a difference to lots of people. And even if that cannot be, at least you should do something to transform yourself. That's the kind of the idea. I have been a Buddhist monk since I remember. since I remember, they told me that you are a monk. You are kind of a lama. You are a reincarnated kind of a lama. I was happy that I was a monk because I really liked this lama who made me his monk. You know, this jungle control of Shechen, a very, very wonderful lama. And he was always kind of, even at that age, you could feel his kindness, his compassion, his gentleness, his kind of, his greatness, And he was also known to be one of the greatest masters of the time. And I think some of you know my story, that I was very, very sick. I was not able to sleep a wink for several days and nights. And then my parents were worried that I would be dying. So they went and requested Dharma of Shechen to come and do something. Because no kind of doctors and all these things were there, but they couldn't really help me. And he came, and as soon as he came, he seemed to get very sick, and he went to bed. And first time I went to sleep. And that night I was totally sleeping and no problem. And then next morning when he woke up, he told them that, bring me the boy. So they brought the boy. And he said, now he's my monk. He's not monk of my monastery, because his monastery was Shechen monastery. He's just my personal monk. Yeah. So they were very happy. They said, of course, he's your monk. I didn't know that, but I was told that later on. So I considered myself as the monk of Dharma, very proud. Since then I considered myself a monk, although actually I took the monk's vows, the first monk's vows, only when I was 20. I didn't take any. Actually my parents didn't want me to take, because we had become refugees and we were in India, and they said that, well, you have no monastery, you have nothing, so maybe you can't be a monk, you have to work, all kind of things. So that's how I became a monk, and I consider myself as a monk. And I studied Tibetan and Dharma since I arrived in India at the age of around 7 maybe. And I studied all my life from various masters, very, very great masters, very learned teachers. from different traditions and schools and things like that. Not because of my design, but I happen to find them, and so therefore. And I was very happy to be a monk. And all my life since then, I never one time had even a little bit of a doubt, should I continue to be a monk and like this or not. Because I saw life very clearly, and I found that monk's life is the best life. You have any doubt? Not talking about the Dharma way, just general way. There's no problem, there's no relationship problem. That seems to be the worst problem. Anyway, that's not the topic here. I don't, I know, I don't think that to practice Dharma you have to become a monk. I totally 100% I understand, I know that it's not really necessary to be a monk to practice Dharma. It's not necessary that being a monk you can practice better. I don't think so. It depends on yourself. You can be a monk and practice very well. You can be not a monk or a nun and practice very well. You can be a monk and practice very badly, And you can be a monk and do well also. It depends on yourself. So, and then, I never was in the monastery. I never stayed in a monastery more than 6 months or something like that. Although I always wanted to stay in a monastery. But the more I grew up, the more I thought it's not necessary to be in a monastery. And I also saw, more clearly that maybe I shouldn't say this. I should not say this. It's not necessarily best to be a monastery, even to practice Dharma. Sometimes we talk about, the samsara, and you said that, if you have a family or you live in the family, you are in the samsara. If you go to the monastery and become a monk, you renounce the world, and so you are like, more renounced. It depends on the person. You could be in the monastery and be totally in the samsara. Yes. There are many great Buddhist monks, Buddhist masters, who even said that the monastery is a bigger samsara than as in their home or family. There is some truth in it. Anyway, it's not because I didn't want, but due to certain situations, I never really lived in monastery. I always lived with my parents, and I was working, a professional working, since I was 17. So I know how the professional working people are. I worked in education department for 8 years to write textbooks and train teachers and things like that. Then I was working as a lecturer and a professor in the university for 17 years. I worked for 25 years. And then I retired. But that doesn't matter. Buddhism is very vast. It's a very vast subject. You can study all your life and not understand, not cover even a fraction of the treasure of knowledge that Buddhism has. But that doesn't mean that you need to know everything. You don't have to become a great scholar or have to know everything in order to practice Dharma on yourself. I think one needs to essentialize your practice and put it on yourself. I received many different teachings, many different kind of empowerments and all kind of things of different lineages, and studied many different, classical texts and things like that. I did also all the examinations, and I did get good marks. I was a little bit intelligent. Now I am not. I think I've become old. But that time, I could listen to something one time and then I would remember. But I'm not. I have received lots of empowerments, and I've made commitments to practice lots of them every day. And if I did all of that, maybe I should be doing at least 10 hours every day. So I couldn't do it. And I didn't care either. That's why I'm lazy also. Because, sometimes there's one collection of teachings in Buddhism. It has maybe like 700 empowerments, 500 empowerments, And then each one of them, even if you do like 10 times the mantra, it would take hours, like that. So that's another story. But the basic thing, I think, is that the practice of Dharma is to really understand what is really the, causes of our suffering, pain, problem, and try to do something about that. The main teaching of Buddha is Four Noble Truths. And when we try to understand the causes of suffering, he talks about klesha and karma. So to my understanding, that's where the practice is. Klesha. Your negative emotions and your unclarity and ignorance. Yeah. And if you can do something little bit on that, then you are practicing Dharma. If you don't do anything on that, whatever you would be doing, even if you are practicing all day long, all the time, even if you are a monk or a nun, you did many years of retreat, you didn't do any Dharma practice. So therefore, I always thought that this is the essence. If we can do something on my own klesha, negative emotions, negative thoughts, negative reactions, and negative habitual tendencies, the imprints that is on me, and try to kind of little bit let go of them as much as possible. And through doing that, then if I can increase even slightly my own kind of positive side, like kindness, compassion, and wisdom, that would be the practice. So therefore, I'm not a great meditator. I think I told you many times how my meditation is. I get up in the morning. Somehow I get up, my sleep, I get out, I awake quite early, around 3 o'clock. I get up. And sometimes, I try to meditate a little bit. But when I try to meditate, it doesn't go very well. I sit up, I do some prayers and little bit things that you need to do. Then I sit down, relax myself, and try to meditate. And then it's very nice. It's very nice. And I feel very good. And I feel so kind of relaxed and go into kind of deep samadhi. And then suddenly I wake up, mostly with my own snoring. I've learned one thing for my meditation in the whole life. That is that I can sleep sitting up. It really helps me when I travel. I can sleep while driving in a car, I can sleep while flying in the aeroplane, I can sleep, I can sleep in any way, I can really, sometimes I can sleep better sitting up than lying down. I was kind of a little bit surprised once. I got a business class flight, and I said, now I should really enjoy myself. I should have a nice sleep. And then I kind of put my own down, and I lie down. It's very comfortable. Lie down. And, I don't get sleep. I was like waiting to sleep for about half an hour. Sleep doesn't come. I become even more awake. And then I said, it's useless. So I just sat up. I made the kind of chair they usually, and I sat up. And immediately I went to sleep. And I slept all through, So that meditation is very useful. But, my mind is not kind of mind which is, very busy. I don't have too much of a monkey mind. Because I'm lazy. I don't want to think. To make myself think, I need to make an effort. If I just sit there, I don't. My problem is not thinking and not being awake. So I sleep even when His Holiness Dalai Lama is teaching. His Holiness Gamapa is teaching. Anybody. And I had really very, very, what can you say, embarrassing times, His Holiness Dalai Lama was teaching. I was giving a very kind of very prestigious seat on the dais, just behind the translator. And a few times in His Holiness Dalai Lama, he actually likes me, he loves me. He even made me, he doesn't do that very often. He made me introduce his empowerment to the people. 2 times when he visited England and Scotland. And then like thousands of people, everybody knew me, kind of. And then I was sitting there and I was, this video, every time he kind of, one session finished, they could buy the CD, not CD, what is
DVD.
it? DVD. And thousands of DVDs came out each. And in all of them, I was there. But it was very good for my ego, I think. So therefore, I kind of a little bit gave up with my meditation. And so what I do, and this is, I also tell this everywhere actually, that you receive teachings, you receive instructions, very high level instructions, deep instructions on, like Mahamudra, Dzogchen, and very Vajrayana, very, very deep, and very secret instructions. It's very good, it's very valuable, it's very wonderful. But, for me, it seems that the more higher and deeper instructions and teachings I receive, in my own practice, I seem to go back more to the beginning, It doesn't happen that I receive very high or very deep level teachings and my practice becomes that level. My practice, if I didn't practice this is not useful. So I go there. I go down and down and down and really completely at the beginning. And I'm still at the very, very beginning. And so therefore, my practice is very, very beginning. I have book knowledge of all the practices. If you ask me a question, probably I can tell, because I did study. And, But in my experience, I'm very much at the beginning. And I don't mind. I don't mind because I think that's the real practice. If you don't have that, then others doesn't matter. So, I tell you, I'm not asking you to do the same. Of course not. You can go very high and deep and things like that as you feel yourself. But my practice is very simple. Very, very simple. I think this is, the main thing about the Dharma is, as I already said, to work on myself, to transform myself. And to transform myself means at my level of, how I react, how I feel, how I deal with my emotions and feelings and, So my practice is, I'm not saying that I'm very good at it. But what I do is this, that I try to watch myself a little bit, time to time. See what's going on in myself. How am I thinking? What kind of emotions are arising in me? How am I reacting to things that is happening in or around me? And what more deeper habitual tendencies that I am having? And then I think this is, you can call it mindfulness, because mindfulness is, because we don't have any other tool to practice Dharma than the mindfulness. That's the only tool. And this mindfulness is that to become aware what's going on in myself, and then to remember instructions and whatever understandings I have, whatever, experience I have, to apply them at that time. That is mindfulness, and that is the practice. So if I find that a negative thought is arising, and I see this, I try to let it go, because I understand that if I kind of pursue that negative thought, it's not useful to me, it's not useful to others, it is not. It will only bring disturbance to my mind, to myself, and it will only harm. It doesn't bring anything good, useful, purposeful. So if I really understand that, mostly I can let it go. By letting go means you just relax and not pursue that, and then it is gone. That's the way of letting go. It's not you have to do something special or And if I find a kind of negative emotion arising also, I can do the same. Because I think it could be because of my study or practice or whatever, I can easily understand that these negative emotions are really not good for me and not good for others. And to kind of follow them, to grasp at them, to pursue that is only disturbing myself, bring more problems for myself, and would not do any good to anybody. So therefore, it's not so difficult to let go. So you let go, and if you can let go, I feel very good. I feel that I've done some practice, And then if I find that my mind is kind of okay, a little bit positive, thoughts are okay, emotions are okay, reactions are okay, then I celebrate. I not always have a ice cream. Especially when I'm in India, I cannot take ice cream. If I eat ice cream, immediately I get sick. But in the West, somehow I don't really understand why. I can eat any number of ice cream. I don't get sick, at least. But I feel slightly guilty. Usually we from the East do not have the guilt feeling, and I don't have any guilt feeling, I think. But they told me so many times, you eat too much of this and too much that, and you're getting like this. So I'm a little bit fed up. I don't want to look at my mirror, and so when I eat ice cream or chocolate or any of those things, which is nice, I don't like these dietitians. as soon as I see them, I run away. Because they always tell me not to eat something, not to drink something, and maybe I shouldn't say this, but I always think like this, that not to eat and drink all those things, and maybe you live few years more. So what? That's not necessary. That is in the back of my mind. So therefore, I don't diet. I don't fast, I don't like fasting at all. I hate fasting. We have very special practices in Buddhism, Nyungne and Yengne and things like that. You fast, and I'm sure it's a very great thing. I have no doubt it's one of the best practices, but not for me. I did when I was young. I had to do it. I did it once or twice, and I had so bad time. I was having hallucination of foods, and dreaming of, some things coming and about to get it and not getting it and disappearing, and I could smell some food like 100 yards away, So I don't like that. So that's why, I don't do anything. I don't fast. I don't do diet. I eat almost anything, and I don't meditate. What kind of Dharma practitioner I am? So I give it one word: lazy. But what to do? That's me. But I think this, if I can little bit work on my emotions and thoughts and things like that, I think that is the essence of Dharma practice, That's the essence of Dharma practice. And this is my only practice. This is, And for that, I don't need any special time. I don't need, I cannot say that I have no time to practice. Because you don't need any special time. Any time you just be a little bit aware of what's going on, and that's it. You don't need a special place. You don't need, any instruments. You don't need to be in any kind of. You can do any time of the day, night, and just. It's about how you are, how you are. And to me, that's the most beneficial practice for me. Because, if you can let your negative thoughts and emotions and all these things not so much take over you. I'm not saying that I have no negative thoughts and emotions and like that. Of course I have. But if I kind of a little bit can let them go, my mind becomes peaceful. And not so much disturbed. I don't feel that much disturbed. My mind is undisturbed most of the time. And therefore, I feel good. I feel okay. And maybe that's one reason why I can sleep anywhere. I can sleep anytime, I can sleep anywhere, and that's why I can travel all the time. There are two reasons why I travel all the time. One is that I can sleep anytime and anywhere. Second thing is I can eat anytime and anything, and I like to eat anytime, Sometimes, I arrive somewhere 1 o'clock at night, and they say, "Oh, did you eat dinner?" I say, "No." "Oh, it's too late now, isn't it?" I say, "No." It's not too late at all, No time is too late for me or too early for me, 3 o'clock morning, I have to go. "Oh, breakfast, maybe it's too early for you." I say, "No." Well, sometimes I let them sleep, but it's like that. So that's why, so basically, this is what, and this, why this is my practice, because this practice is, I think, basically working on my own, the real problem. All our real problem is our klesha. And our karma is created by our klesha. So if we can really work on our klesha, then we work on our karma. So this Buddha talks about karma and klesha. Klesha is, all the negative emotions plus our ignorance, you can call it ego too much, too much ego. And then because of that, all the karma. Because karma is, is created by our wrong way of reacting to things. So therefore, if we can really work on that, then more or less all other positive things are kind of more or less covered. Of course, to have more, more kindness and compassion and wisdom. Wisdom is a very important thing. Very, very important thing. That's the main thing. That needs, but also, we have this, we have the ego. Everybody, we have the I, me, which is really the main problem, Our selfishness comes from our ego. Our greed comes from our ego. Our, aversion comes from our ego. Our, even like, too much hurting, too much kind of, all this coming from our ego. And sometimes we try to understand that, through the understanding of interdependence, through the understanding of the emptiness, we try to lessen our ego. But intellectually understanding, not necessarily too much lessens our ego. You know? It's not too much that we can, we can kind of destroy or crush our ego. Our ego is too strong. Our ego is... and actually, in a way, it's also not necessary. What we call ego, what we call I, is actually another expression of our Buddha nature. Our Buddha nature is full of clarity, full of wisdom, full of compassion. We all want happiness. I want happiness. We all have so much happiness we want. Happiness, well-being, everything. That's because we have Buddha nature. We have that. If we didn't have the essence of that, we wouldn't probably want it so much. But the way we understand is a little bit wrong. And that's why we make it into an ego, we make it into a selfishness. If you really understand how to relax in that, it could become wisdom. And this is, I think, one of the most important things to understand. This is one of the most... It's not that we need to kind of get rid of our self or selfishness or, ego. But we have to recognize its true nature. And therefore it doesn't become ego, but it becomes, Buddha nature. It becomes. And that is something not easy to talk about, not easy to understand. But I think that should be one of the main practice, And that is, I think, the essence of most of the teachings, like, Mahamudra, Dzogchen, Kalachakra, all these deep teachings of Vajrayana is basically about that. But that, I'm not saying that I'm doing that very much. I have got a little understanding. But that, if these two things can come together, I think that would be, I will be so happy, and I would feel that even if I die or whenever I die, of course, there's no if, it's only when. I will be happy, So that's why, I think I was thinking about talking about this time, just to show my heart to you. But there's nothing much to say, actually. I've said whatever I need to say. So I think, I can finish here, and if you have any questions, you are most welcome.
What would you say with mindfulness that you're...
Hang on, can we just get the mic there, just for the people on Zoom so they can hear you. Thank you very much.
Would you say that the mindfulness...
You need to turn it off. Oh goodness, so sorry. I told him what to take. Thanks, Karen.
Would you say that the mindfulness that you apply, would you say it's like hold it.
We have lights.
Sorry, would you say that the mindfulness that you were talking about, would one way of applying that would be through what I've understood as vipassana? Would that be one way to try and do that?
Well, this mindfulness is necessary for any practice. Yeah? It's necessary for any kind of meditation. Mindfulness is necessary for any kind of practice, training. Mindfulness is necessary for shamatha, for vipassana, for developing wisdom, because mindfulness is a tool, mainly. Like, as I said already, if we have to work on ourselves, there's only one tool, that our mindfulness. Mindfulness means here that you are aware what's going on. Yeah? Say like, you again, you can't be aware all the time, but you are aware what's happening in yourself or in your experience or whatever. And when you know what is happening, then you have to remember what to do at that time. Yeah? So when these two come together, you are practicing. Yeah? So if you are practicing shamatha meditation, then you become aware that your mind is distracted. Then you know that, if I'm distracted, that's no meditation. So I come back to whatever object or focus of my meditation, and that becomes the good meditation. So mindful makes it happen. And if you do the vipassana meditation, of course vipassana has many different levels of vipassana. Vipassana, it means seeing completely or seeing clearly. Yeah? Vipassana. Passana means seeing, and vi means completely, very much, things like that. So, if it has many different stages, like you can be vipassana if you see, like if you are aware of yourself, that your thoughts, your emotions, your body, your sensations, or anything, and then say it's kind of changing every moment. And you deeply understand that, see that, not just intellectually, but that's also vipassana. So you kind of allow your mind to look at, and then see that there's an awareness, clarity, there's a clear awareness, but that's not kind of, you don't need to, the grasping, you don't need to grasp, non-grasping, that's, you experience, everything is aware, and that's, when you talk about mindfulness, we can talk about the four mindfulness, which then includes the vipassana. So those kind of things, you can go into detail many things, but yeah, the mindfulness is anything, So if you are working on your own emotions, state of mind, you can use mindfulness there. And also you can use your mindfulness in, say, like if you are to watch what you are doing with your speech, with your body, if you are talking, or using your speech to do, in the day, and if you become aware how you are talking, what kind of a tone you are using, what kind of words you are using, you see this, and then you remember that this kind of words, this kind of tone, this kind of way of speaking is neither good for me nor good for others. You can change it. That's practice. Or you are doing something with your body and you see that this way of doing things is not good for you, not good for others. You can change it. So, whether it's about your body, speech, mind, when you become aware, then you realize how you are doing it. And then actually with your own experience and wisdom and learning that this is the right way, this is not the right way. This is good for everybody, this is not good. So then we just choose what is useful, what is good, what is necessary, and try not to do what. That's how I can change my habits, I can change my kind of my way or my usual kind of way of doing things, and that's what we call transformation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You said earlier that your meditation practice had gone backwards. I just wonder if you could elaborate on that a bit more. How does that feel? How do you know that you've gone backwards in your meditation practice?
Because there, when you talk, when you study, there, it's very deep level, high level of meditations, and I realize that level of meditation, to truly be able to come to that level of meditation, you need to be first good at the other level, and then other level, and then other level. So when I'm not even this level, I cannot do this level. So then I have to go. I realize that actually I have to be. And if I could do that, then maybe I could do the next level. Then I automatically. But I can't just do this. It's only a kind of. It's theoretically I can understand probably, but practically, that one is the first thing. That's why.
That's it. Do you want me to do that in case there's any questions on Zoom?
There's one. I'd like to thank you for this teaching today because, first of all, I like ice cream and sleeping. So at least I'm on the right path. I think what you're saying makes tremendous sense to me and to a lot of people that I talk about Buddhism. Sometimes these conversations about Muhammadra and all the other deep philosophies, I get totally lost by it. And I think, for me, coming down to the real basics of it, the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path and so forth, I think it means an awful lot. I think that's where the real essence of this is, because if you can communicate that, which is what you're so good at, and we give deep gratitude for that, whenever I see you on the internet or have the great honour and pleasure of meeting you, you're always very much to the point at the real basic level of what causes these pains and what samsara is about. And I think the more we can teach, I say we, but not any of us can teach anybody and understand that, so much of this pain comes from this, the very basic things, ego, pride, anger, all the things we talk about. And if you can show compassion, kindness, healing, all the things that we all like to think of, it does change the world. And I'm just so grateful for you speaking the way you are, and just thank you, because it is, I think, the real essence of the path. And I think it helps people, it really does. Because I think if you sit talking about the philosophy, I get lost. I'm not quite sure why I said all this, but never mind. Thank you anyway.
Yeah, me too. I've done lots of studies, the book knowledge. So I can discuss all those things, because I have books and, many things I have memorized also. But that doesn't mean that I can actually experience that, and then it doesn't really work, So we have to. That's why we have to go at the, and sometimes I think for lots of people it's boring because they already know it. They kind of intellectually they know all these things, and then if somebody talks about it, I've heard about it many times, kind of, and. Yes, that's true. That's also true. But, in the practice, then that's where the most important thing is. That's what I think,
Everyday practice.
Yeah, every day. And the real kind of, it has to connect with your own level and how you, basically it's working on your, I always say this, and I think it's very important to understand. Many people, what should I practice? What should I practice? Should I practice this? Should I practice that? Should I practice Gwendo? Should I practice, Tonglen? Should I practice? Should I practice Tara? Should I practice, Sherezek? Should I practice? I said, doesn't matter. And then they don't like it. I think, I am my practice, I am my practice. I can use any of those things as a kind of tool for my practice. But finally, it's myself. So, even if you do all kind of things, like 3 years and the 6 yogas and all kind of things. Yeah, that's a tool, and if you use it well, it will help. But if you don't work on your own, on thoughts and emotions and reactions and habitual tendencies, all these practices go just like, flow on top of that, and then it wouldn't really help much, I think. Yes?
Oh, we're just going to go to Zoom now.
There's one behind. Okay.
Yeah, one on Zoom. Hello, so this is from Jenny on Zoom, and she says, sometimes anger seems appropriate in some situations. Oh, sorry. Sometimes anger seems appropriate in some situations. Is it okay when you have anger to another for them creating suffering of others?
Say it again.
Okay. Sometimes anger seems appropriate in some situations. Is it okay when you have anger to another for them creating suffering of others?
I didn't understand. Is it okay to make somebody suffer?
No.
Then
It's okay to be angry with somebody because they're making others suffer.
and then
That's the question.
That's the question.
oh, I see.
Is it appropriate to have anger towards those that are making others suffer?
What does that? How does that help you? Or the other? Yeah. I think lots of people have this idea that if somebody is making somebody suffer or something like that, it's okay for me to be angry. Nobody can say that you should, you are not allowed to be angry, but the main thing is when you get angry, you get disturbed, your mind. Yeah. Your mind is disturbed by this anger. If it helps somebody not to suffer, then it's okay. But it doesn't help anybody not to suffer. If you want to do something that somebody is not suffering, then it's not necessary you get angry. You can actually do that to get rid of that suffering. Actually, if you do that with compassion, actually you have to do it with compassion, then there is no need of anger, So, it's did you understand what I'm saying or not? Yeah. It's not that, if somebody is doing something very bad and they're making lots of people suffering, of course that's not good. That's not good. If I can do something to change that situation, I should do it. But just getting angry doesn't make any good. Instead of angry, you should be, actually if you see that somebody is, or some people are suffering because of the action of somebody else, and then you feel that, these people should not suffer like that, or this person should not do like that to make people suffering. That's actually inspired by compassion, because you don't want these people to suffer. Now you get angry is your habit that, we always get angry when we see something not good. And then when you get angry, then I feel not good. I feel kind of angry and upset and, disturbed, Nobody can say that, oh, it was such a nice morning, I was so angry. So, but if you are inspired by that, and you want to do something, then you need to think and you need to find out what can I do to solve this problem, And then maybe you can do something, maybe you can't do something, but it's not useful to disturb your own mind and make your own mind disturbed and, and many times people think that I should do something and then I get very angry and then I can say something very bad or do something, kind of to hurt that person. And then I get more angry and they get more angry and then I start to fight. And then actually I become the same like this person, you know. Then it doesn't really, it's initially it was good intention to, you know, that's why they said that actually compassion and hatred or, you know, anger arises from the same situation. You know? Say like you see somebody is like having a bad time, or somebody is doing something wrong, like injustice. Then there is two ways to react. One is anger, and another is compassion. They say it like this, that if you focus your mind on the issue, then compassion arises. You focus your mind on the people, then anger arises. You know, like you see, this person is doing this thing very bad. You know, he's very bad. You know, I don't like him. You know, I have to do something like that. Then it becomes anger, and then I don't like him, and I try to say something or do something to kind of denounce this person or hurt this person, you know, something like that, and I become angry. If I focus on the issue, that is like, this is happening, which is not good. This action that is happening is creating pain and problems to some people. I want this to change. Then it becomes compassion, because, you know, you are not angry at anybody. You want to change the situation. You want to change the situation for the good of this kind of the subject, or the, you know, subject of whatever that other person is doing, you know, who is suffering. But you want to also change that person who is doing it, that stopping by doing this, you actually want to help. Because if somebody is doing something bad, it's not good for that person also. You know? So therefore, when your mind is going that way, then it's called compassion. Yeah? And sometimes I think people actually get compassion, but they don't realize, and they say it's anger. You know, and it's a little bit, you know, different focus. You know, once you are angry, then you become angrier, and you know. But if you understand that is, you know, focus, compassion, then you are looking for a solution. You are not angry at somebody.
Hi Rinpoche, thank you for your teaching. It's just so helpful. I just wanted to ask, you mentioned ego and Buddha nature. I just wanted to ask if you could say a little bit more about the ego and Buddha nature, and whether were you saying that you use mindfulness to transform your habitual tendencies so that you're going from your ego to your Buddha nature, or have I just misunderstood?
This is quite a big subject. So maybe I'll talk about it tomorrow, because, you know, I think, yeah.
Margaret? Margaret.
So thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you.
I heard you give some teaching some time ago on the 7 factors of enlightenment.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very helped by that.
How?
I've been very helped
Okay.
by that.
Okay.
And I try to bring them to mind
Okay.
in the morning. And particularly I've been trying to focus on equanimity.
Yeah.
Because I've noticed that it's in surprise and shock that I can behave or think or work myself up into very harmful states.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I wanted to thank you for that teaching.
Thank you.
And for the way it's helping, actually. If you have any comments on equanimity, I'd be very grateful.
You know, actually, it's usually it is suggested that, you know, when we try to develop our kindness and compassion, we should focus on equality and equanimity first. Because we already have compassion, you know, we already have kindness to some people, you know. And it's not that we have to develop that, because we already have lots of compassion, lots of love. But the problem is we have too much love to some people and too much not so love to. So that's our problem, you know. So therefore we need to kind of try to bring a sense of equality, you know. And the more we can bring this sense of equality, then we can use our loving kindness and, you know, our love and that you usually feel towards some people to all, yeah. And that way, you know, that's the usual way of training ourselves. So how we do that is to understand that actually everybody is same, you know, like similar. You can think about, you know, myself, and I want to be happy, I want to be free from suffering. I'm totally like that, you know. And it's not only me like that, he like that, she like that, you like that, you know, everybody like that. So there is nobody who doesn't want to be, you know, well or loved or receive kindness or receive friendship or, you know, respect. Or everybody same, yeah. So when you deeply understand that or experience it a little bit, everybody is the same, then why you need to kind of differentiate so much from one and the other? So you kind of slowly learn that you can try to feel similar or same way towards everybody, you know. When that happens, then you can develop true, say like same way, you know, like if you see that somebody is causing problem to somebody else, so somebody who is suffering that is very much, you know, you want to help and you wish that that person doesn't. But if you look at that person who is doing that, he or she is also exactly the same as I am and as that person. He or she doesn't want to suffer. He doesn't, and that's why, you know, he wants to, you know, he wants to be more happy or more something good, and that's why he's trying. But actually, he's wrong. You know, the way he's doing is wrong, but the motivation is the same. So when you have that understanding, then you don't hate that person. You know, but you know that this person is misunderstood. He's kind of wrong. He's doing bad thing, but not necessarily to hate. You know. So when that understanding happens, then your loving kindness becomes more clear, because, you know, even people who are very bad and who did some very bad things, you know, of course they did very bad things and it's very bad. But it's not that you have to hate them, you know, that understanding. Okay, then, thank you so much.
There's a message from Margaret which I'd like to read out to you. Margaret says, a memory at a teaching in Chichester some years ago, an answer to a question was, I'm not here teaching you lot, I'm here making offerings. Totally different feeling. I thought it's like stardust, angel dust showering all of us. Thank you, Rinpoche La, for this evening's offering.
Thank you, Margaret. Get the dedication.
Through this merit, may all beings be free from the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness and death, the ocean and samsara. So shinto shiveran shime,
Thank you very much.